following a severe car crash. I reached out to her to come get me from the ER. Her response was, "Sorry, I'm having lunch with my best guy friend. Can't just walk away." I replied with a simple, "Okay." What the police officer said when they approached her table at the restaurant turned her meal with her friend upside down. A crisis reveals people's true colors. I know this because I'm a paramedic. Every day I witness people at their lowest points. I see how they behave, how they treat one another when the world is crumbling and sirens are blaring. I've seen strangers comfort the dying, holding their hands. I've watched spouses break down over their injured partners. I've seen humanity's finest moments in the darkest times. Then there was my girlfriend, Sarah, and a car accident that laid bare the reality of who she truly was. We'd been together for 2 years, sharing my apartment, which I'd worked hard to afford. On the outside, things seemed solid. She was vibrant, stunning, and the spark of every gathering. I was the steady, reserved one. I thought we balanced each other well. I brought calm and she brought energy. The only real tension was her close friend, Ethan, a wealthy consultant who seemed to spend his days dining at upscale restaurants and giving unwanted advice. Sarah and Ethan were glued at the hip. Their connection, as she often called it, was unique. They shared private jokes I wasn't privy to, and their constant, secretive texting was a sore spot. I'm not the jealous type. My job has trained me to stay composed under pressure. But their bond always felt wrong. It was like I was an outsider in their two-person world. Still, I trusted her. I chose to believe her when she insisted they were just friends. That trust was shattered beyond repair last Tuesday. I was driving home after a grueling shift. It was pouring rain. A reckless driver in a modified sedan blew through a red light and smashed into my driver's side. The impact was deafening. A chaotic blur of twisting metal, breaking glass, and my car crumpling around me. The next thing I knew, my fellow paramedics were extracting me from the wreckage. I was strapped to a backboard, my head throbbing, my left arm clearly broken. As they loaded me into the ambulance, a police officer I knew, Tom, leaned in. "Hey, buddy," he said, his face serious. "Your car's done for. It's being towed. We need an emergency contact to notify about the crash and the car's location. Who should we call?" "My girlfriend, Sarah," I said through the pain, giving him her number. The ambulance ride to the ER was a haze. They cut off my uniform, gave me painkillers, and ran tests. X-rays showed a clean break in my left humerus and a moderate concussion. No internal injuries, thankfully. I was battered but would recover. About an hour later, a nurse approached. "We've tried calling your emergency contact, Sarah, multiple times," she said. "No response. Is there someone else we can reach?" My stomach dropped. No response. I knew exactly where she was. Tuesdays were her sacred lunch dates with Ethan. Using my good hand, I grabbed my cracked but functional phone and texted her, "Hey, I was in a serious car accident. I'm at St. John's ER. Arms broken. Cars totaled. Can you come get me?" I waited. Then her reply came. A message that would alter the course of my life. "OMG, that's terrible," Sarah wrote. "So sorry to hear. But I'm in the middle of an important lunch with Ethan right now. Can't just leave. Can you grab a cab or something? Keep me posted." I read it once, then again. A cold, sharp clarity cut through the fog of painkillers. She wasn't just brushing me off. She was choosing a lunch date with another man over my legitimate emergency. I was in the hospital and she was worried about her meal. The foundation of our relationship collapsed in that moment. I thought of Officer Tom and the fact that they still needed to notify her officially. A plan formed, calculated, fitting, and perfect. I screenshot her message, then texted back one word, "Okay." Then I called Tom. "Hey, it's Jake Turner," I said, my voice calm. "Thanks for your help at the scene. I know you've been trying to reach Sarah, my emergency contact. She's not picking up, but I know where she is. It's critical you notify her in person to complete the report. She's at the Silver Fork, downtown." Tom, a solid cop and friend, got it instantly. "Got it, Jake," he said, his tone sharp. "We'll send a unit to make the notification in person. Focus on healing." I hung up, leaned back on the hospital pillows, and waited. Sarah's important lunch was about to be disrupted. Update 1: the hour I spent in that ER bed was one of the most defining of my life. The physical pain lingered, a steady ache in my arm and head, but the emotional sting had morphed into a steely determination. Sarah's betrayal was so blatant, so complete, that it erased my usual feelings of hurt or sorrow. All that remained was a quiet, focused resolve and a need to act. My colleague, Chris, who'd been on the ambulance crew that brought me in, stopped by to check on me. One look at my face told him something was off beyond the broken arm. "What's going on, man?" he asked. "You look ready to start a fight." I showed him Sarah's text. His jaw tightened as he read it. "You're joking," he said, his voice low. "She picked lunch with that Ethan guy over this?" "She did," I confirmed. "So what's the plan?" he asked. "I've handled it," I said. "I had the police sent to her restaurant for an in-person notification." Chris stared, then let out a low whistle. "That's cold and brilliant." The details of what happened at the Silver Fork came from Tom, who got the story from the 2 officers he dispatched. It was better than I'd hoped. The Silver Fork is a pretentious spot, pricey, trendy, and packed with people obsessed with status. Sarah and Ethan were at a prime table by the window, laughing over a bottle of overpriced wine. 2 uniformed officers entered the restaurant, and the room fell silent. Cops don't show up at places like that without reason. Diners stared, whispering. The officers moved deliberately through the room, stopping at Sarah and Ethan's table. The taller one, a stern-looking man, locked eyes with Sarah. "Ma'am, are you Sarah Thompson?" he asked, his voice loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Sarah looked up, confused and irritated. "Yes," she said. "Is something wrong, officer?" "We're here about a serious vehicle collision involving your partner, Jake Turner," the officer said, his tone flat and formal. "He was taken by ambulance to St. John's Hospital with significant injuries." Sarah's face went pale. Ethan froze, his wine glass halfway to his mouth. The officer continued. "His vehicle was totaled. We've been trying to reach you for 2 hours, as you're listed as his emergency contact. Mr. Turner informed us you were here. He requested we notify you in person about the incident, and that you'll need to arrange with the towing company for any personal items from the vehicle." Each word landed like a punch. Serious collision, ambulance, significant injuries, totaled vehicle, emergency contact. The officer wasn't accusing her of anything, just delivering cold, official facts. But those facts painted a vivid picture for everyone listening. A man was in the hospital after a crash, and his girlfriend, his emergency contact, was sipping wine with another man, unreachable. Ethan, according to the account, looked at Sarah differently. The charming lunch companion vanished, replaced by someone staring at a woman whose selfishness had just been exposed. The officer wrapped up, "That's all, ma'am. You should head to the hospital." The officers left as calmly as they'd arrived, leaving behind a stunned silence, a table of uneaten food, and Sarah's reputation in tatters. Her important lunch was over. Update 2: the aftermath was a predictable mess, which I watched unfold from the safety of my hospital room. After my discharge, with my arm in a sling and prescriptions in hand, my sister picked me up. I'd called her right after the police, as she'd always been my true emergency contact. Her anger when I told her about Sarah could have fueled a rocket. She took me to her place to recover. I had no plans to return to my apartment until Sarah's presence was gone. Sarah, predictably, started flooding my phone with texts and calls. "Jake, I'm heading to the hospital. I'm so sorry. My phone was on silent. A weak lie. Where are you? They said you're discharged. Why aren't you answering? I'm freaking out. Then, this is your fault. You sent cops to my lunch to embarrass me." The shift from fake concern to blame was quick and revealing. I didn't respond. I blocked her number. Ethan, surprisingly, reached out. He messaged me on social media that night. His words direct, "Hey Jake, I don't know you well, but I was with Sarah at lunch. I had no clue about your accident. After the police left, I paid my share and walked out." The way she brushed off something so serious, that's not someone I want in my life. "Sorry for any role I played in your relationship problems. I'm done with her. Get well soon." It was a self-serving message, meant to clear his conscience, but it confirmed my win. I hadn't just embarrassed Sarah. I'd exposed her true nature to the person she was trying to impress. She lost her boyfriend and her best friend in one afternoon. With my sister's help, I executed the rest of my plan. She was my commander, handling logistics while I recovered. She hired a moving company specializing in breakup cleanouts. They packed all of Sarah's belongings, every shirt, shoe, and book, into boxes, neatly stacked in the living room. Then she called a locksmith to change the locks. Finally, she sent Sarah an email from a new address. Subject line, Retrieval of personal items. The email read, Sarah, this is to inform you that your relationship with Jake Turner is over. As you are not on the lease, your residency in his apartment is terminated. Your belongings have been packed. You have 48 hours to arrange their removal. Contact me, Jake's sister, at this email to schedule a 2-hour window. You'll be allowed entry only to retrieve your items and must leave immediately after. If your belongings are not removed within 48 hours, they'll be considered abandoned and disposed of. Any attempt to contact Jake directly will be treated as harassment. It was clinical, legal, and final. She treated me as an inconvenience in my time of need. I was now treating her with the same detached efficiency. Final update: 7 months have passed since the crash. My arm is healed, the concussion a faint memory, and my life is peaceful. Sarah followed instructions, coordinating with my sister to retrieve her things. From what I heard, she arrived with her dad, looking defeated and silent. She directed the movers, took her boxes, left the key, and was gone. The social consequences for her were brutal. The story of the police interrupting her lunch at the Silver Fork became infamous in her social circle. There was no way to spin it. She was the woman who chose a fancy lunch over her boyfriend in the ER. Her attempts to paint me as the bad guy fell flat. The facts were too damning. She lost most of her friends, not out of loyalty to me, but because they were ashamed to be linked to her. About a month ago, she sent a long, rambling email full of excuses. She claimed she'd panicked, wasn't thinking straight, and that Ethan had pressured her. It was a textbook case of dodging responsibility. She ended by saying she missed me, our stable life, and that she'd learned her lesson. I didn't respond. I set up an email filter to send her messages straight to trash. Her lessons weren't my problem. My revenge wasn't the police or the public scene. That was just the spark. The real revenge was how thoroughly I removed her from my life. She treated me as a minor character in her vibrant world, so I erased her from mine. I reclaimed the life I'd built, the stability she'd taken for granted. The most satisfying part is knowing I saw her for who she was and acted without hesitation. A relationship is a partnership, and the first rule is showing up when it matters. She didn't just fail. She obliterated the test and walked away laughing. The look on her face when the officer approached her table was just the start. The empty apartment, the silent phone, the life she lost. Those were the true consequences. She couldn't risk missing her fun lunch. In the end, I was the one who was freed. I cut out the poison in my life, and that poison was her.